Hello friends, it's wonderful to have you with me again today. This is part 3 of Animals of Great Britain and the last part of this little mini-series. If you haven't seen part 1 or 2, then I will link them down in the description. We've looked at a whole variety of different native and introduced animals of Great Britain. Mostly very cute animals. But now we're going to be moving on to our last few animals. And we will start with the rabbit. One of the most iconic animals that we have. And you can see these guys pretty much anywhere, even in really heavily populated areas. The most common in obviously more rural areas, but they get everywhere. So, what can we learn about the rabbit? So the rabbit isn't a native animal to Great Britain. They were originally from Spain and southwest France, and they were actually brought into England in the 12th century AD by the Normans, and they were actually kept in captivity as a sort of source of meat and fur. But of course, like anything, life finds a way, and many escaped into the wild and eventually became so common that farming them and keeping them in captivity was rather pointless. Rabbits are able to become pregnant as early as 4 months of age, and a female rabbit is fertile for pretty much every single day of the year, bar about 3 days a month. So they can pretty much breed all the time. So once they are pregnant, a mother rabbit is expectant for about 32 days, the gestation period, and on average she will have a litter of about 6 babies. After birth, the mother can become pregnant almost immediately, and this means that, in theory, a female could have a litter every month of the year, hence the expression breeding like rabbits. In the 1950s, the disease myxomatosis was introduced to curb the numbers of rabbits, and the rabbit almost became extinct because the myxomatosis disease was too good, it did too good of a job. But once again, numbers have shot up, and it is a common animal of the countryside once more. The male is called a buck and a female a doe. The main predators of rabbits are the stoat and the fox, although young animals also fall victim to birds of prey and also weasels. Also, it's good to note that lots are killed on the roads, which is a horrible, horrible shame. So, fun fact is that rabbits eat their own poo. Rabbits produce 2 kinds of poo. One is hard and inedible, and the other is soft and made up of undigested food. Rabbits eat the second kind of droppings to gain nutrients from it. That's quite disgusting, but resourceful, I would say. So what else can we learn about the rabbit? So like we found out, it's not a native species. It was introduced from Spain and France in the 12th century AD. Its length, it can grow up to 40 to 45 centimetres, and its ears are 8.5 centimetres. They have compact bodies with long hind legs. They have grey-brown fur with white underparts and a short white tail. They are absolutely abundant in grasslands areas where the soil allows them to make extensive, well-trained burrows, but also where there are hedges and patches of woodland to give shelter and cover from foxes. They have 4 to 8 broods, so like litters, they are known as broods, of 3 to 9 young, and the young are known as kittens. And they are pregnant for 28 to 30 days. The young are self-supporting in 1 month, but 90% of new babies actually die in their first year. They live on mainly grass, but also vegetable matter. They gnaw at tree bark in the winter months, and they re-swallow up to 90% of their poo to make their food more effective in a process that's known as refection. So that's the process of eating one's own poo. So their population pre-breeding is estimated to be 40 million. That is a lot of rabbits. So that's the Charlie rabbit. So now we move on to another deer. You remember that we have looked at the fallow deer, the Bambi deer. We've also looked at the quite exotic muntjac deer. This deer is one of the most iconic deers. You may have seen it on like postcards, or you may even have seen them in the wild if you have travelled up to like the northern parts of the United Kingdom. And this is the red deer, one of the largest deers that we have. And I think this is the one I told you a story about when I went to Scotland recently, about deers running around because they wanted to find girlfriends. I think it was a juvenile red deer because it was massive. So, red deer are Britain's largest native land mammal, and together with the roe deer, are the only native deer species. All the other deer species have been introduced. The male red deer is called a stag, and a female is called a hind, and a baby red deer is called a calf or a fawn. Male red deer grow very impressive antlers, which are made of a type of dense and very solid bone. Whilst growing, they are covered with a hairy skin called velvet, which is shed when the antlers have reached their full size. Normally this is around October when the annual mating season starts, known as the rut. They use these powerful antlers to fight other males for dominance over the females. Once the 3 weeks of the rut ends, the antlers are shed and new ones immediately begin growing, ready for the next mating season. And actually these antlers don't go to waste. I actually have a deer antler at home because most of the farmlands and the estates that keep deer actually sell the antlers that fall naturally to the animal pet food industry. My dog has an antler that she chews on, and it's really good for her teeth. It's very natural. No animal was harmed in making it. And yeah, it's really good for puppies and dogs that like to chew. But anyway, I've digressed again. So, where were we? Yes. Red deer are ruminant animals, which means that they regurgitate their food and remasticate, so chew it, again to aid digestion. This is also known as chewing the cud. You can see a red deer normally in the early mornings and late evenings, as they are inactive during the day and middle of the night when they spend most of their time chewing their cud. So let's have a look at the fun fact. So because red deer are so ancient, they are widely depicted in cave art found throughout European caves, with some of the artwork dating from as early as 40,000 years ago. That's very impressive. So this is a male. Very, very impressive. Look at his big horns, antlers. He is beautiful. So what else can we learn? We know that they are native. The male stag, its head and body together, is 210 centimeters. The height at the shoulder is 120 centimeters, so they are pretty massive. The female, the hind, height at the shoulder is about 107 centimeters, so about a meter. So the males grow branching antlers, and they have a long neck and long, thick hair in the winter. I suppose they would need that huge neck to keep such heavy antlers up. The female is smaller and lightly built, of course, without the antlers. A stag reaches full size in 6 to 7 years. So they live essentially in the forests, but they are found in the UK on the moorlands of Scotland and also in Devon. That's where they're most prominent. So the female is pregnant for 9 months, and only a single calf is born in May or June, and it lies hidden in the undergrowth, well camouflaged during the day for about a week. And then, after the week is up, it will join the herd. It eats majority grass, young heather shoots, moss, young leaves, shoots of trees, and in the winter they will actually strip the bark from the trees. Their population is estimated to be around 500,000, but you'll only see these guys up north. I'm sure it's a juvenile red deer that I saw running past my caravan on holiday. And they make such an impressive noise. If you Google red deer mating call, it's kind of a mix between a cow and I can't even describe it. It's such a deep and profound sound that kind of goes right into your soul, and it's haunting, I would say, is a really good description for it. So if you get a chance to Google red deer mating sound, then it's quite something. So now we move on to another cute little fella, and this guy is a stoat. And these guys get confused with weasels and other sorts of creatures, ferrets as well, but they are a little bit different. They are a member of the weasel family, but they're a little bit different to a weasel. They're actually found throughout mainland Britain in a variety of different habitats. A male stoat is called a dog, a hob, or a jack, while a female is called a gill. The collective noun for stoats is either a gang or a pack. Stoats live in territories and occupy multiple dens that are often the home of past prey, and these can be hollows, nests, burrows, or other small sheltered areas. So, for instance, like rabbit warrens or something like that. Stoats are very bold, and fearless creatures. They're also very agile, and they are able to climb well. And they are able to also take down young birds in nests. They are also really good swimmers, capable of crossing large rivers. Their primary food source is rabbit, despite being many times its own weight. The number of stoats in the wild is usually linked to rabbit population, but in recent years their numbers have declined as they are still heavily persecuted by gamekeepers protecting their game birds. Stoats are usually reddish-brown in colour, but stoats that live in the north change their fur colour to white to help blend in with the snowy landscape. And I've actually seen a video of my father-in-law. He was working one day in the countryside and he saw a stoat stalk a rabbit, and he managed to actually get it on film. And you see this stoat kind of working its way around this like outhouse building and actually catch the rabbit like so quick. It's unbelievable, and this rabbit is literally the same size as the stoat and must weigh so much more than that, but they are really good hunters, very agile. So, fun fact, the stoat will mesmerize their prey, such as rabbits, by dancing. Sometimes this is called the weasel war dance. So the stoat will dance to the rabbit, and the rabbit will probably think, what the hell is going on? And like stay really still, and that's when the stoat strikes. I'll try that one next time. Look at this guy, he's so beautiful. So the stoat is a native species. The males grow 69 centimeters in length, plus the tail at 11 centimeters. Females are 26 centimeters, plus their tail at 9 centimeters. They are about the same size as a small ferret. Their body and neck are cylindrical and long, as we can see here, very long neck. They have little short legs, brown fur on the back, and creamy white fur on the underparts, and a black tail tip. And like we said, in the north, they changed their colour of their fur to white to help blend in with the background. So they live in a wide range of habitats as long as there is suitable food there. This can range from lowland forests to upland moors and even in towns. I've never seen one in the town though. So mating occurs in May and June, followed by a delayed implantation. So the pregnancy doesn't actually happen right away, it's delayed. The births occur in April to May of the next year, producing the females produce one litter, and it's normally 5 to 12 babies. So they nest in grass and leaves, and also in hollow trunks, molehills, walls, banks, or thickets. They have a purely carnivorous diet, including voles, mice, rats, rabbits, hares, and birds. Pre-breeding season, their population is estimated to be 462,000, which is quite a good amount. So that is the stoat. Next, we move on to this guy, who is a water vole. He's just a potato, isn't he? He's just so round and fluffy. He's so happy. And these guys are really interesting. So you may be familiar with the character Ratty from The Wind in the Willows. Well, you'd be surprised because he wasn't actually a rat, but he was actually a water vole. But these guys are one of the most endangered mammal species in the UK. Nearly 90% have disappeared in the last 7 years, mainly due to habitat loss and basically being eaten by the American mink. They are semi-aquatic and they have flaps of skin over their ears to keep the water out when swimming. And when they're threatened by a predator, such as mink, otters, stoats, weasels, brown rats, domesticated cats, pikes, herons and barn owls, pretty much so many predators, they will actually kick up a screen of mud and attempt to escape. So, fun fact, water voles have to eat 80% of their body weight, which is 60 to 360 grams a day to survive. That's a lot of food. Wow, poor guys. So what else can we learn about the water vole? Look at these beautiful hands here with these really sharp claws. You always look so surprised. So, they are a native species to the UK. Their body is 16.5 to 25.5 centimetres, plus their tail at 12 to 15 centimetres. They're about the same size as a brown rat. They have a rich brown coat, which is slightly reddish on the back and greyish ochre on the underparts. They have a blunt nose and small ears, which are almost hidden in their fur. They have a lightly haired tail and oily skin. It has a prominent, bright orange incisor teeth, which you can kind of see here. So they dig burrows, mostly in densely vegetated banks of rivers, streams, ditches and dikes, usually with low water flow. They breed in April to September, and 2 to 4 litters are produced each year with 3 to 7 young. The females are pregnant for about 21 days. Their nests are usually built underground and consist of finely shredded grass or reeds. They're predominantly herbivores and they basically eat any vegetation growing at the water's edge. Their population is estimated to be 875,000. So that is the very cute water vole. So now we move on to the wildcat. And these guys are really, really rare. You can see that this guy kind of looks like a domesticated cat, right? But there's a little couple of differences. He's a lot bigger, he's a lot meaner, he has a bigger, fluffier tail. So, since the extinction of the lynx, so that happened roughly around 450 to 600 AD, the Scottish wildcat is Britain's last remaining wild member of the cat family, and it bears a close resemblance to the domestic tabby cat, but it is more striped and has a bushier, blunt-ended tail marked with a thick black rings. You can see there. Now, confined mostly to the Scottish Highlands, wildcats disappeared from southern England in the 16th century. The last one was recorded in northern England. It was actually shot in 1849. The Wildlife and Countryside Act gives strict legal protection to wildcats and their dens. They are easily confused with feral cats, which are basically domestic cats living in the wild, of which there are about 900,000 in Britain today. Unfortunately, The two species also interbred to give hybrids, which makes it extremely difficult to define the genetic purity of a wildcat. The wildcat has suffered considerable decline in population and is now considered at serious risk of extinction in England. So, fun fact, the Scottish wildcat is the likely inspiration of the mythological Scottish creature cat Seath. I'm not pronouncing that right, I know. A spectral cat that haunts the Scottish Highlands. So what else can we learn about the wildcat? You can see it's just looks like a normal cat. But you see this ringed tail here, a little bit bushier. So they are native to the UK. The head body length averages about 56 centimetres and the tail is roughly 29 centimetres. They have grey-brown fur with dark stripes, thick tail with black rings and a blunt tip. Their habitat is varied. Mostly it's on the edge of moorland with pasture, scrub and forests in Scotland, north of Edinburgh and Glasgow, but not on the islands. In winter, the bad weather drives them down into the more sheltered wooded valleys. They have one litter a year of 3 to 4 kittens, born in May after a 68-day gestation period. They are born without hair and are blind and deaf. Eyes open after 9 days, and they emerge from the den at 4 to 5 weeks old. They accompany their mother on hunting trips after 10 to 12 weeks. Second litters occasionally occur in August. They make their dens in abandoned fox earths, underground dens dug out of ground. We looked at that a little bit in the fox slide. And they also make them in disused badger sets, under tree trunks, in hollow trees, in bracken or among large rocks. They live on a diet of rabbits, hares, small mammals and game birds. So, like we know, their population is in massive decline and they're on the verge of extinction. And it is estimated that fewer than 100 survive, and extinction is actually considered likely, which is really, really sad. So, that brings us to the end of this 3-part series. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you haven't checked out part 1 and 2, I will link those videos down in the description. And I hope you have enjoyed learning about all the different animals in the UK. There are so many more. You're probably thinking, where is this animal? Where is that animal? But maybe I'll do a part 2. Well, you know what I mean. I'm also working on the birds of Great Britain and also the marine animals of Great Britain too. So please look out for those. That'll be really, really interesting, especially those of you who love to look at birds or are really into birds and stuff. So, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed this video, found it informative and relaxing. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care